Hello, it's Molly Reamer with Bridget's Grove in 30 Days of Goddess, and I wanted to review some concepts that I'd shared before via audio about how to reconnect with the sacred when you feel out of sync or when you feel like life is too hard. So really quick ways to return to the sacred when you're feeling out of sync or like life is too hard. And we all have times like that. I want to reassure you that literally everybody has times where they feel like life is too hard. What am I doing? How can I handle another thing? Oh my goodness, I'm just going to freak out. I'm frazzled. I'm overwhelmed, whatever. This is normal. I have a problem sometimes with telling myself, like if something feels hard or something feels stressful or something feels overwhelming, that there must be something wrong with me, or that I'm doing something wrong. Like if only I could crack the code and figure it out and do it right, I would never feel this way again. I would never feel overwhelmed, frazzled, or confused, or like life's too hard. But that's not really true. Like there are moments in our lives when we feel frazzled, overwhelmed, or like life is too hard. Those moments will recur, and that's a normal part of being human. It's part of the grace and glory of being human is that we feel it all. There's all those things to go through. There's all those experiences. There's all the things to go through. And what I find is that daily practice creates this bastion of support that underlies everything else. So it creates something that we can come back to in those moments where we feel frazzled, overwhelmed, and confused. It doesn't prevent us from ever feeling those things. Having a healthy and robust spiritual life and a powerful spiritual connection, which is what you're cultivating right now as you move through 30 Days of Goddess, as you engage with the 30 Days of Goddess process, you are opening your life up to more peace, more calm, more connection, and greater serenity. But you're not curing yourself of being human. What you're providing for yourself is a strong basket, a strong base of support and nurturance that you can draw from in those inevitable ebbs and flows and peaks and valleys that every human goes through. So you're creating resources and support and care and nourishment that will help support and guide you through the tough times. You're not eliminating the tough times completely. So anyway, sometimes I find we need reminders, and I have a little postcard version of this that you will find attached somewhere below or in association with this video where you can have those reminders. But these are just 9 little things that I came up with during one of those stages where I felt frazzled and overwhelmed and confused and like life was just too hard and I felt out of sync or out of step with the sacred. 30 Days of Goddess is all about staying in sync with the sacred, staying in step with the sacred, making a space for the sacred and for yourself in your own life. And these are my 9 quick ways to come back when you're feeling lost. So the first one is just to take 3 deep breaths. And you can leave it just at that, just 3 deep breaths. Or you can touch your forehead, your heart, and your belly, and allow yourself that briefest of body blessings to bring you back to center. Another quick way to return to the sacred is to just lay your hands against your heart. You can do one hand. You can do this anywhere, even if you feel a little silly. There's nothing wrong with just putting a hand on your heart in the line at the grocery store. And I always feel myself, it's a physical way to come back in and to touch back in to the pulse of the sacred right below our own skin. Anyway, so one hand works, or just 2 hands. 2 hands is sometimes even better because it feels warmer. Feels a little bit like a hug and feels like this, a centering. Like, yeah, bring it back here, bring it back here. Number 3 is to go outside or look out a window. Hopefully you have a window where you are, even if you're probably not in line at the grocery store, you're probably not gonna have a window, but even if you're at the dentist or in a waiting room or in an office, hopefully you have a window to look out of. But go outside if at all possible. You can often get outside more easily than you might think. You can step outside, you can take a break to step outside from a lot of different settings and a lot of different locations easier than you might think. And just being outside can reset you and sync you back up with the sacred. Sorry, I already said touch your forehead, heart, and belly. So that's really number 4 on my list, but I lumped it into the take 3 deep breaths because I do both of them. Take 3 deep breaths just by themselves, take 3 deep breaths in conjunction with forehead, heart, and belly. And sometimes I even add an offering, like an offering with this breath. I call it 3 breaths to presence. And you make an offering with this breath, you make an offering with this breath, and you make an offering with this breath. And it's an offering kind of presence to the moment of where you are. Offer a simple prayer. So my favorite one for offering when I feel frazzled and overwhelmed is, Goddess guide me, peace fill me, life weave me. And I combine that sometimes. Goddess guide me, peace fill me, life weave me. But a very simple prayer, something that you've memorized and something that's short. I have a separate handout and video about 5-finger prayers or 5-finger spells. Those are often really simple and powerful to reconnect to too. So one of the ones I use is breathe the breath of grace. Breathe the breath of grace, or I am open to you. I am open to you. And so something that you can always remember, then you never lose it. You always have it. We always have our bodies. We always have our breath. We always have a prayer. We always have a prayer. And we don't need anything else to offer that prayer. Sing, even if it's just in your own head. And so one of those songs, I have a Holy Land song. You might have anything that you like, but I have a Holy Land song that's included on the little postcard version. It's Here we are in the Holy Land, in the sacred we now stand. Here we are with open hands, our lives are holy now. Here we are in the Holy Land, in the sacred we now stand. Here we are with open hands, our lives are holy now. And then I have another one that I do sing too, and I'm not singing them in this video. You can figure it out. You can figure out how you want to sing them yourself. I'll do a lot of things, but singing in a video isn't one of those things that I'm going to be doing at this point in my life. But another one is, I am an elemental altar. I am my own sacred space. I walk with the goddess. I breathe the breath of grace. And then you would sing that. Either you can sing it silently in your own head, you can sing it softly under your breath, or you can step outside and really belt it out. And that's another way to come back to the sacred swiftly. These are swift ways to come back to the sacred. No ritual preparation required, no props required, no setting required. And then 7, I hear a lovely woodpecker. 7 is allow what there is to be. Allow yourself to soften into or around what you feel instead of fighting it. So one of the things I find is I'll have this sensation of, I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to feel this way. Whatever it is, like feeling overwhelmed or frazzled or stressed, and you're thinking, I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to feel this way. And that's your invitation to soften into, I don't want to feel this way, but I do feel this way. So how about I let it exist? How about I let the feeling exist instead of trying to get away from it, instead of trying to force it to be different, instead of trying to fix myself, instead of trying to cure the experience of being human? How about I soften into and around it and I allow that feeling that I don't want to feel? How about I just allow it to be there? How about I just allow it to be there? And what's interesting is when you let it in instead of struggling to keep it out, whatever it is, the frazzle, the overwhelm, the exhaustion, the irritation, a lot of times we find that it's the struggle that keeps that feeling present. And so if you let it in instead of trying to keep it out, you will often find that it dissolves. And it doesn't work to think, I'm going to dissolve this now by letting it in. It requires truly softening into and allowing the feeling to exist. And then often you find like, oh, once I stopped fighting with it, once I stopped trying to make it not be there, once I stopped trying to say, go away, go away, go away, I don't want to feel this way, I don't want to feel this way. Because a lot of times we layer shame and blame in there too. So then we're thinking, I don't want to feel this way, I'm bad. I don't want to feel this way, I'm bad for feeling this way. Then it gets all like yucky. And if we let it in and we let it say, ugh, I don't feel really great. I don't really want to feel this way. And I'm going to go ahead and let myself feel this way anyway. Sometimes we find even with the next breath, the feeling has dissolved because we stopped fighting it and we let it exist. That could have been a whole separate video by itself. So anyway, number 8 is to cradle your face with both hands, and not in kind of like squeezing your cheeks, but like the gentlest touch of a wise woman. Cradle your own face in your hands. Sometimes that can be enough. Sometimes holding your hands in prayer pose and just giving your fingertips a little kiss, that can be enough to come back to the sacred when you feel out of sync. But bonus, while you're cradling your face with your hands, bonus points if you also whisper to yourself any or all of the following. You are precious. You are powerful. You are strong. You are magic. And then number 9 is to remember that you literally breathe the breath of the holy right this moment. You cannot be separated from the sacred because you breathe the breath of the holy in this very moment. You breathe the breath of grace right now. And so sometimes we find that when we can recognize the awe in that, recognize the invitation in that to breathe the breath of the sacred right where we are, we find we've come back home. We've returned. And so and my final little reminder, so I guess you could call this number 10 on my list of 9 things, is just the reminder that returning to the body is often the quickest way back to center and the most reliable re-entry back into the present. Sometimes I will literally kind of shake my own head, like I'll find that I'm thinking about lots of things and I'm feeling kind of scattered, I'm lost kind of in thought, and sometimes even just shaking your own head can like clear your mind and bring you back to the present. So coming back to the body, coming back to the heart, coming back to the breath, coming back to what you can see, feel, taste, touch, smell, coming back to the body is the quickest way back to center and the most reliable re-entry into the present. And in the present is where we meet the goddess. We meet the goddess while cradled in the steady pulse of the present. And that's where the sacred is. The sacred is waiting for us in the moment. The sacred is waiting for us in our own breath and right beneath the skin. So those are my ways to return to the sacred when you're feeling out of sync or like life is too hard. I hope that is helpful to you. And remember, you breathe the breath of grace. Thanks for being here.